Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, and welcome back to another episode of Top Tier Talk. There was two massive returns this week, one being the Premier League after the international break, and two being Elliot, as you can see on your screens. So we're going to start with the half-12 game, the early kick-off, Liverpool v Everton. Fairly plain sailing for Liverpool, especially after the red card, the two yellows from Ashley Young, which has been a lot of outrage and arguments on Twitter. If that was a red, Liverpool should have had a red and so on. But I think that was the right decision to send Young off for two yellows. Amir, what do you think? Obviously, you said you watched the game as well.
I did watch the game. Obviously, Mo Salah coming up with the two goals in that game. I think Liverpool are fairly confident. They're dominant in the game, especially with the red card as well. It was always going to be a Liverpool victory. Bit concerned for Everton, to be honest. They don't look good at all. Their team looks very, apart from like maybe Onana and maybe Pickford and a couple others, they do look like a very like dead team. It's a bit disrespectful, but like a championship level team. So I don't know if they were to stay up, it would be due to three worse teams than them, to be honest. But yeah,
Which
Seems likely at the moment, doesn't it?
yeah.
well as it stands, it
Like,
would be Burnley, Sheffield, and Luton would be the three to go down. You would argue,
yeah,
wouldn't you?
especially your Bournemouth's in there as well. I know they play decent football, but they can't get results, so they could potentially be in
They haven't
there
won
as
a
well.
game yet, have they, Bournemouth?
I don't think so, no.
So to the other end of the table, obviously talk about Everton towards the bottom. Liverpool, top four this season.
Top four,
Do
I
you know
think
what?
top
Top
four.
four is a weird conversation this year, I think. Top four is so vast, I think. There's so many teams in it, and Aston Villa one of them, Brighton another. So I reckon there's about 7 or 8 teams that are in the chance for like top four. Chelsea are obviously scraping their way, well, obviously not after us, but trying to scrape their way back. United's obviously scraping a win against Sheffield as well. So it's all up for grabs, really. I guess there's no team that can kind of have bad season and get away with it, really, like they have with the previous seasons.
This is what I've been going on about for years. The Championship was the best league because there were so many teams that could win the league or go down. Now, this as a football fan, even if I don't support any of the teams, is what you want to see. A top four was set, top four, not in any order, but it was either City winning the league over the last sort of 10 years, and before that was United, but it was always the same four teams, and you have the other two fighting out for Europe. Now, as you put it, there's Villa. I know Villa beat West Ham 4-1, which we'll touch on later on, but West Ham are still up there, obviously winning the European competition last year and then being in the Europa League this season, but they're still pushing up there. Might not get top four, but it makes it a bit more exciting. Newcastle there, that's just
Yeah.
free.
Newcastle
That's all you
as
want
well.
as a football fan. It's just competition. It's boring. Even for for example, I know obviously you two support bigger sides, but it's boring. It's just you lot rotating for second, third, fourth, fifth, and sixth. It's not. Well, you probably prefer it because it's less stress and easier on you lot. But now there's more teams in the fray. You've seen Arsenal did it a couple of years ago when they finished mid-table. Chelsea finished mid-table. They've been pushed out. As you said, if they've had an off-season, you can't get away with it anymore. There's no room for error, or you get punished.
Exactly.
But anything else, or should we move on later on to the
I mean,
I want to
saw,
ask. Hold on. I want to
go
ask.
for
I
it.
want to ask Amir a question.
Go on.
So, due to Salah's longevity in the league, would you classify Salah as a better player than Hazard?
Do you know what? You've brought an interesting question that we are going to move on to. So I do think Salah's better, but just to add on to that, because this was one of the main points that
I know you're a Chelsea fan.
I'm a huge Chelsea fan. So we're going to move on to Chelsea Arsenal. We'll talk about after. But obviously, one of the big news that happened earlier on, as you said, is Eden Hazard's retirement at 32, 33,
Something like that, yeah.
something like that. After a very, very disappointing spell at Real Madrid. So ESPN did a list. They've got four wingers, and I want us to rank these four wingers. And El, you already mentioned two of them. So we got Gareth Bale,
Yep.
Mohamed Salah,
Mhm.
Eden Hazard, and Angel Di Maria. So I can give a little like brief on each one if you want. I've got a little summary before we make our decision.
Before you do, are we doing it based on their prime or based on their longevity, or what are we doing it on?
Whatever you want, the best player,
Okay.
I say. If
Okay.
it's prime, but I've got little bits on each. So Gareth Bale, obviously, we all know him. Dominant at Spurs, won 5 Champions Leagues at Real Madrid. Specifically the 2019 one, I think it was against Liverpool, the overhead kick goal. Probably one of the most decorated British players of all time. Do you know what I mean? For me, he could be number one. But we're going to move on to Salah. Next we've got Salah. 3-time Golden Boot winner, won a Champions League, won everything with Liverpool, Premier League, the whole lot. Mr. Consistent, I'd say, in terms of goal scoring and the numbers he puts up. Then, as we said, Eden Hazard, 2 times Premier League, won the league when PSG were just getting started with all that money and stuff. So that's actually a bit underrated. 2 Europa Leagues, his final ever game for Chelsea, absolutely dominant against Arsenal in the Europa League, and a PFA Player of the Season player as well for him. And finally, we've got Di Maria. As we said, won Champions League with Real Madrid, absolutely clutching that. Biggest clutch player in Argentinian history, Copa American final goal, World Cup final goal, finalissima if we're counting that goal as well. But he did not cut in the Prem, did he? So out of the four guys, 1 to 4, who are we picking?
I've got a list ready and I can start.
Let's go.
So, Hazard for me, first place. Just seeing him in seeing him in person was ridiculous. Let me cook.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Let me cook. See, the things that he would do was outrageous. Like he
made a poem on him.
got a little mural of Eden Hazard in my bedroom. It's next to the actual Watford stuff. It's actually there. Controversially, based on your looks, I'm going to go Bale second. As you said, very, very decorated. Even when he was at Spurs, he was too good for him. He had to leave to continue his career, almost like Kane. The whole argument between Kane should have done 4 or 5 years ago. Had he have done that, he probably would have gone on the same trophy trajectory as Bale would have. But so Hazard first, Bale second, Salah third for me. No disrespect to Di Maria, as you said, goals in all sorts of finals. Didn't cut it in the Prem, but you look at the players that haven't. It's no disrespect to him. It's just the other three for me are clear of Di Maria.
Oh, do you want to go next?
Yeah, sure. I'm as I say, same as Daniel. No disrespect to any of these players. Absolutely, every single one are fantastic in their own aspect of the game. You know, there's not a single one of these players that you mentioned that are like shouldn't be at the bottoms. Obviously, there's all up for grabs. You know, what I mean, someone could put him at first, someone could put him at fourth. Someone, do you know what I mean, it could be all up in the air. But this is my personal list, and I think Gareth Bale number one. I think he's the best British player of all time. Without a shadow of a doubt, he changed games. He was quality on that wing, and Wales got off Madrid at the end, but obviously he did do well with spell at Madrid towards like 2013 to 2018 when he left. Well, didn't leave, but like started to kind of dip down a bit. And before obviously I put in second place, I do want to say Hazard's one of the most joyful players to watch on a screen, or even in, as you say, Daniel, in real life. Like he's such a good dribbler, and everything about him is fantastic. But as you mentioned, Amir, all his awards and his longevity, I think Salah has to go for number 2 for me because he's still a quality winger. Hazard at number 3, as I say, I've mentioned him already, and no disrespect to Di Maria, still a baller, left foot demon, scores in finals, as you mentioned, Daniel. He's at number 4 for me.
My list now, I agree with 1 out of the 4 for Daniel. I think we can all guess which one, number 4, Di Maria. With Elliot, I'm 100% in agreement. Gareth Bale, what goes underrated for him as well is just how clutch he is for Wales as well, by the way. Semi-final in the Euros. Number 2 for me, as we said, Mohamed Salah. The numbers that Geezer puts up are unreal. You can't like look past it. It's just a goal scorer. It's crazy. 3 times Golden Boot winner from a winger position as well. Hazard for me is third. As a Chelsea fan, obviously I adore Hazard, but he did have inconsistencies. There was 1 or 2 seasons for Chelsea which he did not cut it at the top level. Look at Salah last season, even when Liverpool were outside of the top 4 race or probably dipping, he still produced the numbers. And finally, as we said, Di Maria, obviously we didn't cut it in the Prem, but he's probably the most clutch player, important player in Argentinian history as well. And of course, he put up numbers of PSG, Real Madrid in that Champions League finals, or he was good. But Elliot's, I'm full agreement for. And it's quite interesting to see the variation on our list, by the way.
There's got to be people that put Di Maria first, if I'm being honest.
That's what I'm saying. That's fine, because they're all ballers. They're all ballers. Like, there's no right or wrong answer. Yeah, and they're all fantastic.
No disrespect to Di Maria, but if you're picking between those 3, it's a non-exhaustive list, like an interchangeable list between those 3, and probably Di Maria 4th. As I said, no disrespect, he is a quality footballer. Even when you said we didn't cut it in the Prem, like there was glimpses, like that goal. Was it a goal against Leicester when he just controlled it and dinked it over Schmeichel? Like this just instantly comes to my head. It's not for lack of quality. But back to the Prem. Luton.
Let's go to Chelsea.
Okay, Chelsea. I was going to say just through the other results. Well, I was just going to touch on Luton coming back to get another point. So congratulations on yet another point. Man City 2, Brighton 1. After Man City, hadn't lost 3 games in a row for years on end, and that was a potential, get my words out, potential banana skin. Brighton, obviously, I know haven't won and haven't been playing Brighton football recently, but 2-1's not a
I
convincing
think it's a good
scoreline.
result for
Yeah,
them
it's a
with
good. Yeah,
Akanji getting sent off as well. I mean, he's out for the Manchester derby. I mean, Alvarez is doing numbers right now. Alvarez is
He's
absolutely
unbelievable.
killing it for him without De Bruyne there as well in his new position. And obviously, Haaland ended his little mini goal drought, if we can even call it that. To
it's
be
not a
honest, it
goal
was like
drought, is
2
it?
games.
Realistically, it's not a
No,
goal drought.
at all. But he got a nice left-footed goal as well. So
But yeah, that does bring us on to the 5:30 kickoff. Chelsea 2, Arsenal 2. You two argue it out, take it away. Two nightmares from the goalkeepers. So try and explain,
now,
please.
do you want to go first, or do you want me to land it first?
It's up to you, mate.
Do you know what? I'll go first. I'm absolutely disappointed in that bottle job performance from Chelsea Football Club. We should have beaten Arsenal 3-0. The game should have been finished, but obviously Sanchez gives them the goal with Rice. Rice's goal gives that goal. We need to have a conversation about Sanchez, by the way. We brought him in. I thought he was a good kicker. Obviously not. The Brighton game in the EFL Cup comes to mind. Absolutely terrible kick in there. The handling's poor as well. I was behind the goal, Nottingham Forest. He dropped everything. There's got to be questions there. I think we might need another keeper next season, and it's bad. And we have Kepa coming back. 2 clowns, to be honest.
De Gea,
Um,
he's available.
who?
De Gea.
De Gea.
Do you know what? I would entertain it. I'm entertaining that. Sorry, I would entertain it unless Sanchez improves, but it's not looking likely. But we bottled that game. The penalty controversial. I know a lot of defenders have come out and said, where should his hand be? I get it, but rules are rules. It's a penalty in Cole Palmer,
Yeah.
tidy finish. The Mudryk one, I mean, he meant it. Poch
No,
said
he
it.
didn't.
He practices that after in training all the time. I see it as well. He definitely meant it. You should have seen it in his eyes as well. He was looking for that goal. It weren't across at all.
I think
You,
that's. I think
you,
that's.
by the
have
way,
chances.
you Chelsea fans are unbearable on Twitter, though. Not
We're
specifically you,
unbearable.
Amir.
You're unbearable.
No. Because these fucking idiots are saying Puskas Award for fucking Mudryk's
Puskas
goal.
Award.
No, I
Shut
agree.
up.
It was a Puskas. And the fact that Mudryk scored it after all the abuse against Arsenal, like all the stuff I've seen with Ukraine, people saying, what colour is London and all that stuff. It's always blue. It'll always be blue.
It's not
And
blue, but
he knows it. And the fact that he scored as well, it's just icing on the cake. Because he snubbed you for us.
But
He
moving
snubbed
on
you.
to Elliot Amir. Mudryk did
Let's
score
do
to
it.
put Chelsea 2-0 up. What happened afterwards, Elliot?
for some reason, it just gave us a kick up the arse at the 60th minute or something like that. Decided, you know what, we're going to actually get into this game. We took off Zinchenko, took off Jorginho, and then put on Tomiyasu, who's been a quality player, by the way, when he comes on as a super sub. And then so about 10 minutes down the line, we put on Trossard. Wow, what a super sub, because that for some reason like charged up the entire team. And as you mentioned, Amir, Sanchez mistake, Declan Rice banger. That's not easy to take, by the way. It's a great goal.
No, he
Why is that
curved
not
it. It was a
Puskás
great
Award,
finish.
by the way? Yeah. But and then to be fair, but I'm going to put out there when Sanchez came diving out and took out Gabriel Jesus, I think that's a penalty, in my opinion.
Agreed. Fully agreed. It's like the Onana one. That is a penalty. I can't
think-
ridicule Chavez for the Onana one.
Yeah, I
And
think that's
it's
100%
a
a
penalty. We got
penalty.
lucky with that one.
If Jesus takes out Sanchez, and obviously that's a free kick on the keeper, why is it not the same opposite way around? I think keepers are so protected in this league, and it's a stupid thing to do. Other than that, I think we played very poor in the first half. I think we won't get the
We
game
outplayed
management
you
for
till
us.
70
Yeah,
minutes.
the
though.
game management
We
for us
fully outplayed you.
was ridiculous. One, obviously, Declan Rice had a good game all round. He was one of the players in the first half who can hold his head high. Martinelli, Saka didn't really offer much in the first half. There's not much obviously the defense can do. They did their job for the first half, or didn't really do their job. Obviously, they conceded 2, but I'll be honest, that second goal when Trossard scored, I was like, surely, is it written in the script here where we can get 3? I bet you
Well, you were
getting a bit of
close. You were
shitty
close.
bum over here.
It was squeaky bum whole time. You're absolutely right. And to add on it, as I said, it's a bold job performance. I don't want to see no Chelsea fans going, "Oh, we drew against Arsenal. Oh, look at this, we nearly won."
They are, though.
Dead mentality that is, to be
bad,
honest.
yeah.
We're not doing what you guys did with the 2-2 draw win, thinking when Martinelli scored that solo goal when Kante slipped and all that.
Embarrassing team, yeah.
We can't have that mentality at Chelsea Football Club, because then it shows we've declined.
Oh,
We
I've
should be
got a,
disappointed and a kick up the backside, to be honest, because we bottled that completely. We should have won that.
I've got a question for you, or you two. You two can answer it before we move on. On the pitch, there was £300 million plus midfielders in Rice, Fernandes, and Caicedo. Rank those three performances, 1 to 3 on Saturday. Elliot,
Rice
you
number
are
one.
first.
And that's no bias there. I think
But
Amir can
you're
agree on
just
that.
going off the goal.
No,
Ju-
I'm not. Right, as I said in the whole performance of our first half, I think Rice was the only one who could hold his head up high because he was actually doing a good performance for us in that midfield. Jorginho nowhere to be seen, and Odegaard I'll be honest, love Odegaard to bits. He had a shocker against you guys. So Declan Rice was kind of our only midfielder that was able to do his job, did well. Enzo scuffed the chance and didn't really do his job in the midfield, and Caicedo was obviously just being Caicedo.
Do you know what? It's hard for us to rank midfielders. Obviously, it's going to have to be Rice because he scored. He changed the game. But up until the 70th minute, it was probably Enzo as our best. Was the best midfielder on the pitch. So if we're just looking at as a whole, it's going to have to be Rice, Enzo, and Caicedo probably.
Yeah,
it's going to have to be. But it could have also been different as well. But it's not.
but it's not.
Moving on to the 8 o'clock
we're better.
kickoff, the Battle of Uniteds. Man United have got the bragging rights and given Ten Hag another week. Chavez obviously isn't here this week, so I will say it. Yes, Ten Hag is a ticking time bomb, and he hasn't got time left. I'll get that in whilst I can while he's not here. And Villa 4, West Ham 1.
Wait, before we move on I want to do a couple pieces on United. Obviously, I think they obviously got the win, and obviously the news of Sir Bobby Charlton obviously passing away. One of the greatest English players of all time. I mean, that from that Munich air disaster to winning the European League, the European Cup with Manchester United in '68, I think it was, and then obviously the World Cup as well, 1966. I want us, just a little tribute to him. I think he's in our top 5 to do a top 5 ranking of England players, like all-time England players. So try and discuss whatever players we've got to the table, whatever. Let's just try and do a top 5. But I think Sir Bobby Charlton is 100% in that list.
Yeah, I can vouch for that.
So we're doing a joint top 5, yeah?
We could do joint. If you've got a discussion or you want to do individual like we did for the last one, I'm more than easy with either. But
let's do a definitive top tier talk, top 5 England players of all time.
Let's go.
Let's put some names out there then. Let's put some names out there so we can put that. Let's go Wayne Rooney, Lampard, Gerrard, Scholes, Gazza, Terry, Ferdinand, Seaman, Ashley Cole,
Banks,
Harry
Moore.
Kane. Do you know what I mean?
Bobby Moore, we can go Sir Bobby Moore, Gordon Banks.
Yeah.
We can go that far back. But for me, in that list, in no particular order, Bobby Charlton's there. I think 1 or 2, he has to be there. He's an absolutely fantastic player from back in the day. He scored 2 in the semi-final in the 1966 World Cup. Scored a banger against Mexico, I believe it was. I was doing a bit of research on him. He has to be on that list. So Bobby Moore as well, I think, as well, the captain of that 1966 team as well, has to be in there somewhere. So I think that's 2 out of the 5 in no particular order.
Well, if we're picking 66, I
agree with Wayne Rooney. I
was going to say, 100% Rooney over Kane. I think we touched on it before on the podcast in terms of Kane's the overall footballer, but Rooney was just skinhead Rooney on the cover of FIFA 10 or whatever it was.
Gloved up Rooney.
Gloved up Rooney.
Animal.
Post-transport Rooney. Yeah.
So yeah, they're the 3. I'd argue Banks would be in there if we touched on the other 2. Obviously with the 66, you've got to go for the goalkeeper for me. He's one of, if not
Pele said, I think Pele said one of the best keepers he's ever faced. So
and when one of the best strikers of all time, or the best, whichever argument we're going to put up forward, is saying that it's got to be.
For the robot, sure, celebration.
just for the celebration. Celebration of the Peter Crouch podcast.
There as well. I like the
Gazza.
Gazza was an absolutely class player.
Someone that we haven't mentioned as well. New Netflix documentary, David Beckham. Anybody?
David Beckham, yeah.
I
don't think he's up there as top 5, but
7 or 8. Yeah.
Top 10.
Top
10, but not top 5.
And
but
again,
if we're in agreement, so Bobby Charlton, so Bobby Moore, Wayne Rooney,
Banks,
Gordon Banks definitely, and I think Paul Gascoigne somewhere in there. That's the top 5 there for me. If you guys agree or disagree, obviously you can comment.
Yeah, no, I can agree with that. But obviously, as I say, towards the start of that was honourable shouts like Lampard, Gerrard, Scholes, Terry, Ferdinand, Seaman, Ashley Cole, as you said, Harry Kane.
Harry Kane some props, definitely.
Loads of shouts outs there. There was a good few teams back there.
Harry Kane will be topping that list when 24, 26 and 28 all come home. So, but yeah, no, as you said, touched on the Man United game, onto the only game on Sunday, because there was a full catalogue of Saturday games because of European football coming up. Aston Villa 4, West Ham 1. We touched on them earlier in terms of those 2 teams.
You know what?
going to be fighting it out, and it's not. That shouldn't be a
what?
4-1 game, if you know what I mean.
I want
Yeah.
to say something about Villa. I'm scared of them. I'm so scared
They
of them
beat
this
us.
season.
They
They
put it
are
on
a
Watkins.
impressive team. They've got a strong attack. They've got a good midfield. Do you know what I mean? And on their day, as you saw against West Ham, they just beat them 4-1. Like
I think
they have a real drilled down kind of squad, and it's quite. Even if you don't see like these world class players that you see in these squads, when you have 11 top quality players that merge together and play properly for the badge and play like as you saw on the weekend 4-1 against West Ham, it's unbeatable.
I
As
think
Newcastle proved last season as well.
I think I saw a tweet earlier. I could be wrong, or I could have read it wrong. I think it said they're 11 in a row unbeaten at home.
Yeah.
Which is
The
ridiculous.
first win in 10 against West Ham, I think it was as well.
Yeah,
So
it was 2013 or
you
2014
know,
or
we've
whatever.
got to
it
give
was.
props to. We've got to give props
Yeah,
to Unai.
honestly, I'm
Unai
scared of them. They're a
Emery's an
really
elite
good team.
manager. Unai Emery is an elite manager. What he's done to Ollie Watkins is crazy. Ollie Watkins is firing like he's never fired before. The team as well, Douglas Luiz, another one. I think Arsenal were after him a few seasons back. Diaby coming in, integrating well.
Yeah.
Pau Torres at the back. They've got a proper strong European side now, I think.
As you said about Ollie Watkins, I think Jamie Carragher said it best. I think he's our striker if Harry Kane's injured.
Yeah.
Honestly, yeah.
But what could have been Elliot? That could have been Emery with Nketiah. It could have been that.
That guy's a lost cause.
Do you think, I'm going to place it back to you, do you ever think that Unai Emery, it was a bit harsh and he deserved more time at Arsenal? Or what is it there? Because it was quite a while back. You obviously got Arteta and you've obviously been on the up ever since. But do you ever feel like maybe with Unai Emery you could have turned it around or not?
It's tough because obviously, like back then, that squad was ridiculously kind of egotistical and attitude like disgusting. So you could put Pep in that team and it would have been quite hard to do because, as I say, the attitude is if you can't change that, then no matter who you are, you could put Sir Alex Ferguson in his prime in that squad. To try and change that attitude is fucking hard. And obviously, those big egos like Aubameyang, Lacazette, Pepe, obviously all in this big money, and no one really caring about playing after the pandemic. They're just like, do you know what I mean? Like it's kind of just just lets you down a bit. So then, but if you give him time, and then as you say, if you let that kind of drag out, like we've basically dragged out all of the egotistical and bad attitude players, and you give Unai the team that we had now, I reckon he would have done well.
Yeah, fair enough. So touching on European football, I suppose this is just down to Elliot this week.
Yeah.
Sevilla away.
Listen, my team didn't lose to contact lenses, did we? So.
Yeah, but our team's actually in the Champions League.
Did lose to anyone, to be fair.
Listen. I've always said this: Arsenal have no pedigree in the Champions League. You're not a big side. You're not a giant.
We are big sides. Have you seen our odds on to win it?
We're
like third favourite team. Third favourite
to win it.
Yeah.
Wow. No way you're going to win it. Do you know what? I'll be impressed if Arsenal make it out of the group.
All right, let's make a bet then.
If they lose to Sevilla,
let's make a bet,
could be sticky.
I think round 16 is where you guys it will end your Champions League.
I'll tell you what. Okay, no problem. But Amir, if we win the Champions League, you got to do something.
What?
I don't know what. Let me think about it. But you got to do something.
An Arsenal shirt in the podcast.
Yeah, you got to walk around in town with my Arsenal shirt on.
Do you know what? I'll do that. If Arsenal somehow miraculously win the Champions League, which is never going to happen this season,
yeah,
I will wear an Arsenal shirt in the podcast after the Champions League final.
Cool.
We've got it on camera. It will never happen. It will never, ever happen.
Okay. Eat your words.
Eat my words. You honestly think you're going to win you lost the camera lens?
No, I'm not saying I'm 100% certain, but I'm saying be optimistic. Yeah, we're third favourites to win it.
Third favourites? Above who?
Optimistic and delusional. There's two different things.
What do you mean above everyone who's in it?
Which two teams are above you?
City and Madrid.
City and Madrid, I'd probably.
Not Barcelona or Bayern Munich?
No. Would give them a run for their money.
Wow. Okay.
Moving swiftly on because I don't want to lose any more. I don't want to get a headache. Any other notable ties? Newcastle, Dortmund, PSG.
I want to touch on Chelsea's fixture list that's coming up. Obviously, I'm not sure if I'll be here in the foreseeable, so I just want to touch on it. You've got a very hard kind of upcoming 4 or 5 games. You've got Brentford, I think, which are not obviously a hard team to go for. Yeah. And then you've got who is it? Man City at home, and then you've got who is it?
We've got United in there as well.
You got United away, I think, and then you've also got
City
another bit. You got Tottenham away as well. What kind of like thing are you looking for throughout those games?
I'm not sure, but if we are playing anything like we did in the first 70 against Arsenal, we're going to be 100% fine. And
If
the fact
in
that
the last
Arsenal
20
couldn't,
minutes.
the fact that Rolls Royce Saliba and chaotic Gabriel couldn't deal with any of our centre forward role. We didn't have a striker. They didn't know what to do. They were
You did
puzzled
have a
at
striker, you
half-time.
just didn't play him.
No, he was injured a bit.
What, Nicholas Jackson?
Oh, to be honest with you, I haven't even touched him. Go back to that. Raya or Ramsdale?
What, at the moment? Well, Ramsdale's off with his kids, so right.
Well, if he's back with, I know he was there, but he's back with his youth now. If he's back in the team,
Yeah.
Do you want Ramsdale or David Raya starting as your keeper? Because Raya's been really shaky since he's come in.
Mm-hmm.
Who do you want? Who's your number one?
Ramsdale, in my opinion.
Wow.
Ramsdale. I think it was quite harsh to kind of like give him the boot, not necessarily the boot, but kind of like start Raya for a few Premier League games and then kind of not include him and only play him in the EFL Cup. But as you say, like Ramsdale's pretty much, he's been a man about it, to be fair. He's been on the bench like kind of egging on like Ryan, not being like down about it and kind of said, I'll fight for my position back. And I think he'll be even better when he comes back because he knows that position's up for grabs. Because before when Raya came in, obviously he knew that's my position. Like no one's really taking it, so he could be complacent with it. But now he knows Raya is steaming up behind his ass that he can go, right, well, I actually need to start putting 10 out of 10 performances every single game I play now, regardless if it's in the EFL Cup, regardless if it's in the like FA Cup. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I get that. It's a confidence position, isn't it? I mean, look at Onana. Stinky, and he last season, yeah. And Sanchez as well, another one. Can't kick a ball, and apparently he's a kicker. Yeah. Is that a good place to end it, guys? I think we've touched on all the Premier League. Obviously, no Champions League back next week. And yeah.
Looks good.
Yeah, that is it from us. Hope you enjoyed the episode. Thank you very much for watching. And until next week, goodbye.